If you were born in 1990, 1991, 92, 3, 4, 5, 1996, like I was, 7, 8, 9, in the 90s, if you were born in the 90s, then this is the video for you. Because this is a video that I've been wanting to create for quite some time now. Because a lot of my content is targeted towards coaches. So, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Josh Dexter. I'm known for helping online coaches grow their businesses to multiple six figures and seven figures. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 6 years. Prior to that, I grew my own online fitness coaching business and exited that business. So, that's essentially what I do, and that's the type of content that I create. And I try and target coaches, I try and help coaches, provide value to online coaches and consultants. And that's where all of my time, effort, and energy goes into. But today's video is not only targeting those coaches, it's targeting anyone in this generation who has a business, who is an entrepreneur coming into 2026, because this is probably the most valuable YouTube video that I've ever created. And the reason it is because it's taken my entire generation to create. I've only recently just had my son Jack. He's only 3 months old. He's just turned 3 months old. And now feels like the right time to share this video and share what I'm about to share with you, because this is something that I picked up on in my early teens and something that has just become more and more and more apparent of when it comes to people creating success in their life, and the difference between those who become successful and those who don't. The difference between people who those people who achieve their goals and the people who don't achieve their goals and they stay in that cycle of the previous generation. Now, there's a theory that I've come up with. This isn't common knowledge. This isn't like science backed or anything like that. There's a theory I've come up with called the information access curve. Now, essentially what this is the difference between our previous generation to now. Now, I'm actually going to share my screen and run through this in a moment, but there's such disparity, there's such a difference between the 30 years that I've been alive and the 30 years prior to me. And these differences have led to a huge discrepancy in regards to the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, the people who become successful, the people that don't. And when I was growing up, when I was a child, there was a very, very clear lower class, middle class, upper class, very, very clear divide. But there wasn't a huge difference. You would have the odd person that was incredibly successful, but most people were in and around the same level of success in regards to their finances, their lifestyle, and what they did with their careers. Everything was very, very similar. You went to school, you either came out of school or went to university, you got a job, you bought a house, you had kids, you got a dog, you bought a car, and you kind of lived that 9 to 5 lifestyle. Okay. And most people live that lifestyle. So most people are on the same level of success. Whereas now we're in a generation where there's such a discrepancy. We have such a digital world where people are earning their money globally. They're living globally. They have freedom globally. We're no longer tied down to that single town that you were raised in, or that single city that you were raised in, the single country that you were raised in. We now have the ability to be anywhere, earn money from anywhere, and live the exact life that we want like that. So the freedom and the access that we now have is so different to the generation that actually came before us. And this is why the title of this video, don't listen to your parents if you were born in the 90s, because what your parents went through during their generation, the level of information access that they actually had was so minuscule to what we've had over the last 30 years. And the generation that I've been brought up in has been a very, very interesting one. When you actually step back, you zoom out and you look at it from an outside perspective. I mean, I was raised with the work ethic from my parents. They work really hard, they're disciplined, manners, punctuality, all of these great foundations as a human being. I would, as a kid, I would ride my bike in the summers, like scuff my knees, come home. There wasn't even mobile phones. We were just outside all of the time. Now we're in a generation, 30 years later, I've just had my son. He's been born in a generation where we have AI. We're trying to colonize Mars. We have electric cars. We have robots. We have a microchip going into your brain to fix mental health problems. We are now in such a technology driven industry and generation. And that's what my son is actually being raised in. So my generation is almost a bridge between my parents' generation and my son's generation. And what that's done is it's led us to be so open-minded. Anyone born in the 90s, you are naturally going to be more open-minded and more curious and more adapted towards change because you've had so much change in our generation. So much change. We had the mobile phone. We had smart TVs. We had electric cars that came in. We had sort of smarter flights, smarter technology. We had automation. We had websites. We had the ability to earn money online. We had so many things that were crafted during the generation that I was raised in comparison to my parents' generation, where it was go to school, get a job, buy a house, and that's kind of all they knew. And what I've crafted is the theory of the information access curve that I actually want to share with you, because this can be the single biggest tool. If you understand this can be the single biggest tool that you can actually apply to your own life and apply to everything that you do and just have the wisdom of. So when it comes to the next 30 years, or when it comes to passing down information to your children, you'll be aware of this. And this is such an important concept that I've been aware of since I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, I actually created what you would class as my first business, where I would copy HTML code. If anyone knows what that is, I would copy HTML code from online games because they were up and coming when I was at school. I would copy them from these other websites because you could at the time, and I would have a website hosted on the platform Pixo, if anyone knows what Pixo is. And I would copy the codes onto my own Pixo site, and I would password protect the site, and I would charge kids at school £1 to gain access to my online gaming site. Because games at the time, you would have places like Miniclip, if anyone knows what that is. But games at the time, there wasn't a lot of sites where there was really good games hosted in one place. You'd have to search and find and browse the internet to find the games that you actually wanted to play. So that's what I did at school. I solved that problem when I was at school. And again, that's the generation that we're brought up in. So the innovation, the curiosity, the ability to adapt and improve and pivot and change in my generation has been astronomically improved compared to the generation before me. And it's only going to get even more apparent for my son and the generation after me. And this is a pattern that I've picked up on over time. And we have a huge opportunity now to gain access to information as fast as possible. We all have mobile phones. We all have access to the internet. You can access information like that, and you can absorb information, absorb knowledge. And this is outside of school. So the people that just go to school and that's the only information that they learn, or they just go to university, that's the only information that they learn, and that is it. You are now the average person. The people that go above and beyond, they have initiative, they have curiosity, they're asking why. They're asking questions, they're open-minded. These are the people that are going to unlock all of this information that we now all have access to. We all have the same opportunity. But the difference between the people who become wildly successful, I've seen, and the people that don't, and they just stay average, are the people that tap into that information. So what I want to do is I just want to share my screen. I want to show you the information access curve. So sharing my screen and taking a look at this, we have the information access curve. So this is a concept, again, exactly what I've just mentioned at the start of this video. This is something that I really want you to understand. And the more aware of this that you actually are, the more that you can improve your behaviors, you can change, you can just change the way that you are as a human being, and you will naturally become more successful when you know this. And this is how important this is. So looking at the curve first and foremost. So on the left-hand side, we have the information access side. So this is how much information that we've had access to as human beings over time. Okay, so over time, the more and more information that we actually have access to as human beings because of technology advancements, okay? And because of just knowledge being passed down from generation to generation, more trialing, more testing, just more exposure to how the world works. And this is why more and more information is available to all of us as human beings
in today's day and age. Now, if we have a look at the bottom, what I've done is I've broken things down into the last 2 generations. So we have our parents' generation. Again, this is just average from 1976. When I was born, 1996, and then 2026, the year that we're about to come into, okay? So we have the first line, the information is actually available. So this is this top line right here. So as you can see, information is slowly advancing. And then with the rise of online technology, access to be able to speak to anyone in the world, access to collect any information from anywhere in the world, be able to live anywhere in the world, earn any money from anywhere in the world. Like, we just have way more access and way more advancement. We have smarter and smarter people. And that curve exponentially pivots in almost hockey sticks because of how fast things have actually changed over the last 30 years compared to the 30 years before. The 30 years before, we had the introduction of the mobile phone, we had TV advancements with more channels, we had cars that started to improve, but it was a slow technological growth and informational access growth because people didn't really communicate with anybody outside of their hometown. You were born in your hometown, you got a job in your hometown, you bought a house in your hometown, you stayed in your hometown. You didn't really venture out unless it was once a year for your family holiday. Whereas now, as I mentioned, we're in a global generation where we have access to everything and everyone has access to everything. Okay, so this is why you've had this exponential growth. Now, if we have a look at the average person doesn't match that level of information in regards to what they actually know, okay? I've had this before with my parents where I'll be sat there watching the football and my dad would say, for example, what a waste of money him being on 100 grand a week kicking a bag of wind around. Okay, that is okay, that's just his generation. Whereas my curiosity and the information I know how businesses work. I know that footballers get paid a lot of money because customers and fans inject a lot of money into that football team and into the sport. If you look at a stadium that has 80,000 people and they're all paying 70, 80 pounds for a ticket each, and then you have merchandise, you have drinks, you have food, you have sponsorships, you have TV rights. There's so much money in the business. In fact, the percentage that the footballers are paid is actually minuscule and a much lower percentage than the average employed job. So when you know this information, you just know a lot more and you're a lot more aware of how the world actually works. Whereas the previous generation, they just look at things on a surface level. They don't dig deeper, okay? So if we have a look at this average person line, so this is growing, yes, but nowhere near as much. And the reason it doesn't grow as much is because the average person will naturally be exposed to information just being alive. Just overhearing a conversation or being in the right room or maybe being at the pub and someone mentions chat GTP. I heard someone mention, couldn't even say chat GPT, like they couldn't even say the name right. So that's the generation that we're in now. So people overhear certain things, but they don't necessarily take it in unless you are the person that I'm about to speak to, okay? So naturally people get smarter and smarter, but those that tap into the information that is available are the people who are curious, the people that are open-minded, the people who ask questions, the people that want to understand why, they want to learn. And this is the difference. The people who stay average are naturally just lazy. They want to stay in their lane. They're exposed to a little bit of information, but they just want to do their own thing. They're ignorant to the information that is available. And then right at the very bottom is the ignorant. So these are the people that choose to ignore information. They choose to ignore anything outside of what they know. So they don't want to know anything else. They want to stay in their lane. They want to typically argue with anyone that tries to tell them differently. They have their own way of thinking, their own mindset, their own emotions, their own personality, their own opinions, and you will never ever change them, okay? So the information that they have access to will be the lowest of the low because they're choosing not to be open-minded to tap into this further information, okay? So how do you become successful using this concept? And the key thing is curiosity. It's curiosity, it's open-mindedness, it's the willing to learn, it's the wanting to learn. It's when someone has a different opinion, okay, why do you have a different opinion? If someone thinks something, why do you think that way? So always having question marks around everything that you're exposed to will help you tap into that further education. When AI first came about and first advanced, the circle that I was around, and this is why this is important, because you need to get around people that are curious too, because the circle that I was around when OpenAI actually launched to the public, within the first 24 hours of it launching, there were 5 of us in an office absolutely testing it, trialing it, using it. And this is years before now it's common knowledge to a lot of people. This is years before. So we were just on it straight away because I was surrounded by people in my network and in my circle that are really, really curious. So the more curious, the more open-minded that you can actually be, the more information that we tap into. Now, here's the clever part. The more information that you have access to, the more that you know, the smarter that you are, the more successful you'll become. Because information equals success. The more you know, the more you can use. The more you know, the more that you can leverage. The more you know, the faster that you can overcome problems, you can solve them, you can move forward, you can progress, because you know the information. Most people sit in the problem because they don't know how to get out of the problem. That's a lack of information. So everything that you do in your life relies on the information that you know and that you're aware to and that you're absorbed to. So this is just something that I've picked up on over the years. The biggest difference and the biggest shift and the biggest opportunity of our lifetime is in this generation that we're now in, because we now have access, like every single person on this planet has access to the same information. The people that have that information, the people that don't, is the difference between just one choice. Wanting to know it. That is it. That is literally it. I mean, you're watching this YouTube video right now. You're absorbing information for free by taking up a little bit of your time to watch this video, and hopefully you find it helpful. But the people that don't access information are the people that would have watched 20 seconds of this and then just flicked off and moved on, because that's what TikTok has created, this instant dopamine effect, where people aren't accessing the information that they want. They just want, okay, next. I'm not hooked in. So if you can really be self-aware, if you can look internally, look at yourself and think, how can I improve? How can I do better? How can I become more successful? The answer is curiosity. The answer is open-mindedness. The answer is you have every answer that you could ever think of to any question, any problem that you ever occur is right in front of you. It is just your choice whether you want to tap into that or not. The great thing that we've got now, we have mentors that are just an exchange of money. We have coaches that is just an exchange of money to that information. We have courses, we have events, you have networks that you can join, you have forums, you have groups. It is your choice whether you tap into those things or not. And this is why I'm in the coaching industry, because I know the value that it provided to me. It helps me really elevate. Every mentor, every coach that I've invested in, every room that I've invested to be a part of and be in that room, the information that I've been exposed to has only gone and helped my success in the future. And you, I mean, you might notice my bookshelf is completely empty right now. I do read, I do read books, but we're packing right now. They're all in boxes because we're moving to our dream home. And we wouldn't be moving to our dream home as a family if it wasn't for me accessing the information that I needed to be able to get to this point, to be able to move and secure our dream home that we're actually moving into. It all boils down to this. It all boils down to this curve, in my opinion. This is the theory that I have just by being aware and overlooking the life that I've lived and the childhood that I've had and how I've been brought up. And these are the biggest differences between the previous generation, our generation, and what you can do to set up the next generation moving forward. So I know this is a little bit of a different video to what I typically do. Again, I help coaches, I provide value to coaches, I give them strategy, I give them tips. I help them create the business and the freedom that they deserve. But none of that works. Like no level of strategy, no level of video, podcast, or anything that you watch will work unless you're curious enough to tap into that next level of education. So I hope you found this helpful. If you do want more information about how I work, and if you wanted to tap into the information that I can provide to you in regards to your coaching business, then feel free to click the link in the description and you can apply, and we can see if we're a good fit for each other. But even if you don't do that, just start being more curious today. Start being more aware of how the world works. Don't shut the world off. Don't be closed-minded. Don't shut people's opinions down. Just be open to anything happening, and you'll naturally collect more and more information.